I don't want to go to the orphanage. Why can't I stay here? This is my mother's house. Victor grimaced. What, are you suggesting I take custody of you? I'm a complete stranger to you just like you are to me. What's the problem? It's only 3 years. It's not my fault you have no relatives. Nastya looked at him with tear-filled eyes. No, he wasn't joking. He really intended to send her to the orphanage. I can live alone, I know how to do everything, and you won't have to look after me, Igor Vasilievich. Please, for my mother's sake. He looked at her carefully for a long time. I don't understand, are you really that stupid or just pretending? Do you actually believe it's possible to marry a sick woman out of love? Why would I need her? I knew she'd die. I could hardly wait. So you're going to the orphanage, and now I'll finally live like a human being and have fun. Nastya stared at him in horror. How? How could he say such things? Her mother trusted him, loved him, and Nastya had been glad that at least her last days were happy. When the guardianship officers arrived, she wasn't crying anymore. Victor smiled as he walked her to the door. The girl stopped on the threshold, looked at him and said, I will definitely come back here. Victor smirked. Not likely. She picked up her bag with her belongings and followed the woman outside. When they sat in the car, the woman looked at her. Don't worry. Life is like that sometimes and karma works too. That woman from guardianship was right. Nearly 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Perhaps thanks to Nastya's character, she managed to truly befriend the children who had long lived in the orphanage. She didn't act arrogant, did the same as everyone else. And maybe because of this, on the very first day, she had a protector among the older ones. That was Dima. Dima, whom the caretakers feared and the children respected. Dima was not only very smart, but also strong, handsome, and fair. But Nastya found all this out later. On the first day she saw a boy, apparently also an orphanage resident, quietly snatch a phone from a caretaker's bag and rummage through it. Oh, how outraged she was. She ran up to him, snatched the phone out of his hands and started scolding him. Dima looked at her in amazement, then burst out laughing. Hey, runt. Where did you come from? None of your business. Give the phone back. There's no time for this. I won't. I'll give it to the person it belongs to. Dima twisted her arm in one move and easily took back the phone. He tapped something a couple of times, shoved the phone into his bag, then grabbed Nastya by the arm and literally dragged her outside. What do you think you're doing? He looked at her curiously. Listen, why aren't you screaming or squealing like all the other girls? You wish, Nastya snapped angrily. Then she swiftly and sharply kicked him. Dima howled. Are you insane? I was trying to explain. Explain what? How you dig through other people's bags. Dima sighed deeply, then looked at her. All right. Either you shut up or you'll never know anything. Nastya didn't want to shut up, but she really wanted to know. She made an incredible effort and kept silent. A boy came to us. His mother killed his father when he attacked her. The story's like this. He went for his mother, the boy Pashka tried to protect her. His father grabbed him by the throat, drunk. If his mother hadn't taken the axe, Pashka wouldn't be alive. Well, they put the mother in prison and now he blames himself. We all understand he just needs time for the wound to heal. But that caretaker I took the phone from hates him. She wants to send him to a psych ward, says he's unstable. And she constantly films his outbursts. Those are the videos I delete. She's already taken her phone for repairs twice. Hopefully, they'll send her to the psych ward instead. Nastya looked at Dima in admiration. Oh, forgive me, please. Listen, if you ever need help, just tell me. I don't care about anything either. From that day on, they became best friends. Sadly, Dima only had 1 year left there. Only he knew everything about her situation, about what Victor had done, and that she was a rich heiress. Listen, and you're saying you have no relatives, and your mom was from the orphanage? Well, yes. She told me that even back in the orphanage, she decided she'd achieve everything. While everyone else rested, she studied. And it was always like that. She got into university on her own, worked nights, then opened a small bakery, then another one. You know, she was so persistent, and she fought her illness to the very end. And you accepted it? I accepted it earlier. Well, yes, it happens. I saw how badly she felt, how much she suffered, so I knew death would be a relief. You're strong. I probably couldn't do that. Yes, you could, you just weren't in that situation. Dima, what about your family? Who knows? You don't know your father, and I don't know anyone at all. I was brought here by either gypsies or someone else who had nothing to do with me. I don't even know for sure if I'm local or not. They sat under an oak tree near the gates. Evening was already falling. This was Dima's last day. How will I manage without you, Nastya? What do you mean? I believe in you. I'll go to the army, and when I come back, you'll already be grown up. Yeah, you'll come back. As if I believe that. In the morning, Dima said goodbye to everyone and walked out of the gates. Somehow, all his responsibilities and authority among the children silently passed to Nastya. That's why time seemed to fly so fast. Finally, the day came when Nastya herself walked out of the gates. She took a deep breath. It seemed no one was keeping her locked up. She'd been outside every day. But back then she knew she had to return. Now she was a free person. Even the air felt different. She only made it to her hometown by evening. She was lucky enough to catch a ride straight to her destination. They even fed her and gave her a piece of paper with an address. Daughter, if anything happens, come to us. We'll put you up. We have our own little house. Not big, but there's room for everyone. The woman smiled and Nastya wanted so much to hug her. For both her daughter and her kindness. Thank you so much. But what could possibly happen? Maybe just that everything's a bit dusty. Now Nastya was standing in front of her house, completely confused. People were living in it. She rang the bell. A woman opened the door and stared at her. Who are you looking for? And who are you? This is my house. Girl, don't you have anything better to do? Bored? Then I can call the police. Her house. Can you imagine? Idiot, do you even know how much this costs? Get out of here while I'm being nice. Nastya stepped back. Getting into trouble with the police on her first day after the orphanage wasn't something she wanted. But she desperately wanted to understand what was going on. She pulled out the piece of paper with the address. Yes, it was correct. Well, you'll think it over and tomorrow you'll go where you need to. Nastya looked gloomily at the woman. And where's that, Aunt Luba? Where else? To the notary, of course. You know they're tricky, you have to find the notary who matches your surname. Or he'll find the one who handled it. In the morning, Nastya stood at the office door. She didn't go searching by surname, but remembered that once she and her mother had been to one notary. And her mother, as Nastya clearly recalled, had signed something and said, "The important thing is that my daughter will have everything she needs." That's why Nastya was sure her mother had written a will. That was already when she was ill, but Victor hadn't yet entered their lives. Hello. The man in glasses looked at her. Hello. Do you have an appointment? No, I came to find out. My mother died and I think you have the will. She must have left me something. Why did you come to me specifically? I remember we came to you though it was a long time ago. May I give you my mother's name? Of course. Sokolova Angela Andreevna. The man took off his glasses. Are you joking? No. Why? My name is Sokolova Anastasia. You can look at my documents, birth certificate and everything. Yesterday I left the orphanage, went home and found strangers living there. But I'm certain my mother would never have left me without a home. Sit down, let me see your documents. He checked them for a long time, left, came back. Not alone but with a woman. They searched through papers together. They gave Nastya tea. She tried not to interfere. She already understood something had happened, and somehow felt Victor was behind it. Finally, the notary sat down in front of her, looking tired. This is the first time I've seen something like this in my practice. Usually, heirs are carefully checked. But here you see Viktor Sergeyevich brought Nastya, daughter of Angela Sokolova. Their relationship was tense. They put on quite a show, arguing over every penny. No one would have thought they were together. But in fact, it was his stepdaughter. Such things happen. I don't yet understand how this will proceed. Do you have somewhere to stay? I'll call the police, but these cases take time. Yes, good people are letting me stay with them. Then I'll call. He held the phone in his hands for a while, then dialed. Police arrived in 15 minutes. A man in plain clothes, probably an investigator, and 2 young officers in uniform. Nastya, what's this? You barely left and already the police. She stared in shock. It was Dima. 5 minutes later he asked, so they stole your house? The investigator looked at Dima. Can you confirm she had a house? Of course yes. We can find the people. You can't hide something like this. True. Well, Anastasia, tell us everything from the beginning. They left the office after dark. Nastya sighed. Aunt Luba's house was on the other side of town. Nastya will drive you. You can't go alone at this hour. The man nodded, and they all got into the police car. Aunt Luba was waiting for her at the gate. Oh, Nastya, something happened, didn't it? Yes, Aunt Luba, everything is so tangled. The police will sort it out. May I stay with you for now? I won't be a bother. What are you saying? Stay as long as you need. Scoundrels robbing an orphan girl. How could they even think of such a thing? A week later, Nastya was called to the police. Well, Dima actually rushed to get her and on the way breathlessly told her how they had arrested that very same Victor. Dima, so it was him then? Dima looked at her in surprise. You're funny. As if some random girl off the street could just walk in as you. Victor was confident. What are you accusing me of? I have no idea who that girl is who got the inheritance. Ask the notary, we nearly killed each other there. I don't know where she came from. And besides, it's none of my business. So you didn't even notice it wasn't Anastasia? Well, she looked kind of similar. I didn't really pay attention to Nastya anyway. The investigator wrote something in the record, then looked at Dmitri. Bring her in. Dima left and returned with a girl who faintly resembled Nastya. The moment she saw Victor, she lunged at him. Where's my money? You promised to pay me. You promised there wouldn't be any problems. I'm not going to jail. I'll tell everything. Victor turned pale. He never imagined they would track down the second-rate actress from a provincial theater, more like a community center, and bring her straight here. 2 months later, Nastya returned to her house. Victor's accounts had just enough money to repay the buyers. The rest went to cover costs. Of course, most of the inheritance had been squandered, but now Victor would sit in prison for a long time, paying back money. Dima walked through the rooms. Wow, I thought you were exaggerating a little. Nastya, who was setting the table, laughed. No, why? Are you disappointed? No, it's just strange. None of my friends are this wealthy. Dima, pour the wine while I go change. For this special day, Nastya had prepared carefully. She bought a dress, rehearsed her makeup. When she came out, Dima gasped. You what? This is you. She smiled. Yes, of course. It's me. He shook his head. I just didn't realize you could look like that. Nastya came closer. I just wanted to remind you that once. When I scraped my knee and cried, you said if I didn't stop crying you wouldn't marry me. Well, I stopped. Nastya, are you really going to marry someone like me? I'm just an ordinary policeman. A good salary is a long way off. And you're amazing. So what? Does that change who I am inside? Dima smiled and pulled her close. You always know how to put everything in its place. Listen, I want us to have both a daughter and a son. Nastya nodded. Yes, but only after graduation. Agreed. And by the time they defended their diploma, they were not only husband and wife, but also just minutes away from being parents. If you like the story, please support me with a thumbs up. One click, but it means a lot to me. Thank you.